Welcome to Reread. I have two tales from the Tales from the Bounty Hunters book that I want to talk about. And I'm going to talk about these all together back to back to back, but I think I'll take them two at a time, except of course for that last one. The first one is written by Kevin J. Anderson and it features IG-88. The title is Therefore I Am. I think Therefore I Am. I do remember this one very well, where there were 4 IG-88s. Now he does that to explain all the inconsistencies from, he is a huge Marvel Comics fan here, so he wants to talk about the appearances of IG-88 in the Marvel comic books, as well as the, the Shadows of the Empire story, where IG-88 has a decoy, blows up, and another one blows up. So he makes 4 of them, and that's how he explains, yeah, they're kind of all of one hive mind. There's 4 IG-88s. There's an IG-72, and again, maybe I'm just not remembering it. Maybe I haven't read it yet. But I want to say he comes back somewhere, but he goes off on his own and is never really heard of at the beginning of the story. And I feel there's a reason, and I can't recall what that reason is right now. So I'm sure I'll find out. But they take over the planet Mechas 3, which is, basically pumping out droids. It's a droid manufacturer. They kill the guy in charge. There's a there's a robot that they infect with a virus that obeys IG-88. So he goes up to the director and goes, your food, sir, your cake or whatever, your tea, sir. He's like, yes. And then he pulls out a pistol. Your death, sir. He goes, yes. What do you mean my death? What? It's silly, but it's fun. IG-88, when he first encounters Darth Vader, is very impressed by him, knowing that he's more machine now than man. But IG-88 admits that it's probably the best of both worlds, is what Darth Vader's living, because he has that human side of him, has that intuitiveness, the little random ability to think outside the box, but he can also crunch numbers. He's got the reflexes of a droid. So IG-88 kind of respects Darth Vader, and the first time he met him, IG-88 was a little intimidated by him, and I like that. I like to hear there are so many stories out there where people kind of bow up to Darth Vader. They underestimate Vader's ability. Why can't people just live in fear of him? I mean, there's a lot of people who do, but it's nice to see a bounty hunter who's very deadly have a respect for Darth Vader. The other one is, everyone gets mad at this, the whole IG-88 taking over the Death Star. Okay, he downloads himself in. All of these stories go straight into Return of the Jedi, which is kind of funny. I didn't realize that not all of them, but most of them do. And IG-88 has downloaded himself into the Death Star. The only thing that was a little kooky, it's fun though too, is that he decides to have some fun with the Emperor. So when the Emperor's trying to use one of the elevator doors, he shuts them in front of his face, almost clips his nose. And the Emperor's mad and keeps pressing the button to open them up. And when he doesn't, he uses the Force. And IG-88 is he's straining to keep the doors together because he didn't know what's going on, but the Emperor's using the Force to pull them apart. And then when he doesn't, or when he can't, IG-88 opens them up, just to kind of toy with the Emperor. Now, the only thing wrong with that scene is the Emperor's very strong. He could have blown the hinges off that wall. And that's the only problem that I have with that scene. And actually with him in the Death Star too. But Matt, I mean, that's kind of crazy that he is the Death Star by the time it blows up. He's controlling it now. Yes, but remember, he's the one shooting. I like how he finds out that the gunners on the Death Star are a little off. They're not as precise. So he kind of does slight corrections to make sure that the Death Star is pinpointing, hitting just the rebel ships. Which you think about, man, get them in flight, that takes a really good gunner. So IG-88 is adjusting their shots to make sure they're all direct hits. I have no problem with this because he doesn't take over the Death. I mean, he doesn't start running it and they don't have this big story where he, maybe just takes over the Death Star for 1 minute, blows up a planet and comes right back. I don't know. To me, as long as nothing got accomplished, okay, IG-88 was inside. He was the Death Star. I get it. The only thing I kind of am upset about is no one decided to pick up the story because IG-88 has this command code. There are hundreds of thousands of droids out over the past, I don't know, I'm guessing years since they've controlled Mechas 3. And no one, they have a code that will have them rise up against their masters. I thought that would have made a great story, the uprising of droids. Sure, we kind of saw a little bit of that in New Rebellion, but I just think, man, that was a really good idea for a story that no one decided to pick up. Maybe someone accidentally trips over and finds the code, and suddenly there's this big uprising. Or another evil droid kind of takes over and realizes IG-88 planted a code. I don't know. Now all the IG-88s are done. IG-72 somewhere out there, but again, he's not part of the story until the very beginning. Overall, duh, it's Kevin J. Anderson. I loved it. The next one is Payback. This is the Dengar story written by Dave Wolverton. He falls in love with that dancer, Monaru, and she has some kind of device that can make him feel what she's feeling, because he doesn't have. His three feelings are loneliness, rage, and hope. Because the Imperial doctors ripped everything out of him when he had that big wreck when racing speeders against Han Solo, and he hates Han Solo. Whoever he kills, he tries to pretend they're Han Solo in his mind. So he's a little messed up, because he's looking at Jabba. Could he kill Jabba? It's hard to imagine Han as Jabba the Hutt. So he's feeding into that dementia there. Fett betrays him several times in this. First off, when they're both going after Han Solo and Empire, Fett blows up his engine, and doesn't kill him, but blows up his engine. Later on, Fett apologizes to Dengar, offers him a drink, says he wants to team up. I'm thinking, this is not Fett. But Fett was drugging him because Jabba paid him to throw Dengar out because he knew Dengar was thinking about betraying the Hutt. So Jabba hired Boba Fett to take out Dengar and leave him out in the desert to die. Well, this time, of course, Dengar makes his way. He fights his way back, but then, of course, finds out about the sail barge. Again, this ends in Jedi, and there's a man who's badly burned, without much clothes on. Later on, he realizes it's Boba Fett, but he saves his life. Boba Fett owes him, and there's one, he's like, thank you. Boba Fett's grabbing him. He's like, thank you so much. I'll do anything. Please don't kill me. You have every right to. And I'm thinking, why would Boba Fett beg? But then Dengar realizes Boba Fett was just getting close to him so he could grab his gun. And he's got his gun kind of at his gut. And he's like, well, I'm pretty fast too. I can pop you one. He's like, fine, but I like that. At first, it's like, you think Dave Wolverton paints Boba Fett as someone who's out of character, but then explains it's all a ruse. I love that. And Dengar decides to save Boba Fett. This is where they form somewhat of a friendship. Boba Fett says, okay, I owe you one for saving my life. And Dengar looks at Monaru. He's like, well, I'll need a best man. And Boba Fett is the best man at his wedding. So it's beautiful. They kept that all around. I think they kept their friendship or team. It was the closest thing Boba Fett had to a friend, I think, was Dengar, if I'm not mistaken. So I kind of like that. That was pretty good. And of course, Dave Wolverton, R.I.P., great author, and he just did. I think Dengar, out of all the bounty hunters, looks the most uninteresting. Like I remember first reading this, I was not interested in Dengar. He looks like a bum, with all the bandages. He just looks like a bum. But leave it to Dave Wolverton to take the dumpiest bounty hunter and make him cool. All right, folks, that's it for now. I'll be back with 2 more next time.